Some things on the internet are not meant to be found. They lurk in the shadows, waiting.
I want you to picture a road. No streetlights, no other cars, no gas stations, no motels, no signs telling you how far you are from the nearest anything. Just you, 2 lanes of cracked asphalt, the low hum of your engine, and your headlights cutting a pale cone of light into a darkness so complete it feels almost solid. You've been driving for a while, long enough that the radio stopped pulling in stations an hour ago, and you've just been riding in silence, which felt fine at first, peaceful, even, because it's California, and California at night has this way of making you feel like the last person on Earth in the best possible sense. Like the world belongs to you. Like nothing can touch you out here. And then something is standing in the middle of the lane. Not at the edge. Not on the shoulder. The middle. And you know, the way you know things in the half second before your brain catches up, that it was not there a moment ago. There was nothing. You were watching the road. And now there is something just at the edge of your headlights, and it is standing very, very still. You hit the brakes. And the thing, whatever it is, doesn't move, doesn't flinch, doesn't react to the light or the sound of your tires or the fact that you are now sitting 15 feet away from it. Engine running, hands locked on the wheel, unable to look away and equally unable to look directly at it. And the worst part, the part that will stay with you longer than any of the rest of this, is that it looks almost right. Almost. By the end of this video, you will never look at California the same way again. I promise you that. And one of these stories, I've never told anyone. Not on here. Not anywhere. Let me back up. Let me tell you how I even found these. If you're new here, welcome. You picked the wrong night to find this channel. And if you've been here before, you already know what you're in for. So settle in, turn the lights down, and please, do not watch this one alone. I've been doing this for a while now. 47 cases since I started, ranging from things I can almost explain to things that made me seriously reconsider every assumption I had about how the world works. I've covered abandoned hospitals with documented histories of patient disappearances. I've covered towns where the locals stop talking the moment certain names come up. I've gone down rabbit holes that took months to crawl back out of. But these three did something different to me. A lot of you have been asking, for a long time, actually, about California cases specifically. You've been leaving it in the comments, sending it through the contact form, tagging me in threads about it. And I kept putting it off, because the California stories I had were either too thin to do justice to, or too close to home in ways I wasn't ready to talk about. These are ready. What I need you to understand, before we go any further, is that these 3 stories are not connected on the surface. Different parts of the state, different people, different circumstances entirely, but there is something that links them. A detail so specific that when I found it, I sat with it for 3 days before I decided to include it. I'm going to tell you what that detail is, but not yet. I'm telling you it exists so that when you hear it at the end, you'll understand why I almost cut it from the script. Drop your theories in the comments. I mean that, because some of you, I don't know how, but some of you always seem to know things before I finish saying them. Alright, story 1. Imagine it's 2019. It's 118 degrees. And you just broke down on the side of the Salton Sea. Her name is Maya, and she wants me to tell you, before anything else, that she is not the kind of person who scares easily. She grew up in Phoenix, spent summers driving through the Sonoran Desert with her windows down and her arm hanging out the door. She's comfortable with heat, with emptiness, with the particular silence that the American Southwest does better than anywhere else on Earth. She told me this not defensively, but matter-of-factly, The way people do when they need you to understand that what happened to them was not a product of nerves or imagination or being the kind of person who jumps at shadows. It was August 2019. She and her husband, Daniel, were 10 days into a California road trip they'd been planning since their wedding. PCH down to San Diego, cut east through the desert, then back north through the Central Valley and up into the mountains. Daniel had the whole thing mapped out in a worn paper atlas he'd found at a thrift store and refused to replace. With GPS, Maya thought this was either deeply romantic or deeply annoying, depending on the day. That particular afternoon, it was romantic. They were somewhere south of the Salton Sea, and the light was doing that thing the California desert does at around 6 in the evening, where everything turns amber and the shadows go long, and even the ugly parts look like a painting. Daniel had the atlas open across the steering wheel. Maya had her feet on the dashboard and was eating gas station trail mix and reading aloud the Wikipedia page for the Salton Sea in a voice she described as her nature documentary impression. "It says here," she told him, "that the sea is actually a mistake." "That tracks," Daniel said. "An irrigation canal broke in 1905. Just flooded the whole basin. Nobody planned it. Nobody wanted it. It's been evaporating ever since." Romantic. It smells like death, apparently. Even more romantic. He reached over and took a handful of her trail mix without asking. She let him. That's the detail I keep coming back to. She let him. Everything was exactly that easy. And then the car shuddered. It wasn't dramatic. No explosion, no smoke, no tire blowout. Just a low shudder that moved through the chassis, a cough from the engine, and then a gradual, deeply inconvenient deceleration. Daniel got it to the shoulder before it died completely. He sat there for a moment with both hands on the wheel, staring straight ahead, doing the thing people do when they're deciding whether to be calm or furious. "Okay," he said. "Okay," Maya said. He got out, popped the hood, stood in front of it in the way that men stand in front of car hoods, even when they have absolutely no idea what they're looking at. Maya stayed in the car. She locked the doors, not out of fear, she told me, just habit, and watched him in the windshield. And that's when she noticed the smell. It came through the air vents, even with the engine off. The Salton Sea was maybe a mile and a half to the east, behind a low ridge of scrubland, completely invisible from the road. But the smell was there, thick, biological, wrong in a way that was hard to name. Not quite rot, not quite salt. Something older than both of those things, something that made the back of your throat tighten. She rolled the window down anyway. It was 104 degrees, and the car was already losing its air conditioning. The first vehicle to pass was a pickup truck doing about 70. It didn't slow. The second was an SUV with a kayak on the roof. It slowed. She watched it ease off the gas, watched the brake lights flare, and then it kept going. She told herself that was fine. That was normal. People slow down because they're curious, not because they intend to help. She'd probably done the same thing herself. Daniel was on the phone, walking slow circles in the gravel off the shoulder, atlas tucked under his arm. She watched him. She checked Instagram. She ate the rest of the trail mix. The third car slowed too. Same pattern, brake lights, hesitation, and then gone. She was about to get out and stand with Daniel when the fourth car appeared. White sedan. Older model, maybe late 90s, the kind of car that's so generic it barely registers. It came from the north at a normal speed, and as it reached them it slowed, the same way the others had. And Maya looked at it the way you look at cars when you're hoping one of them will stop, trying to make eye contact with a driver you can't quite see. The windows were tinted just enough that she couldn't make out a face. She clocked the car anyway. White, older model, a dent on the rear quarter panel, a crack running diagonally across the back windshield. It passed. It didn't stop. She didn't think anything of it until it passed again. 20 minutes later. Same car, same speed, same direction, coming from the north, heading south, passing them like it was the first time. She might have written it off as a coincidence. Maybe there was a turnaround somewhere up ahead. Maybe they lived out here. Maybe it was just a similar car, except that she'd memorized the crack in the windshield. Diagonal, left to right, unmistakable. She tried to call Daniel. No signal. He was 200 feet away, still walking circles, and she had no signal. She watched him through the side mirror. And here's the part she told me that I still can't explain, and I want you to hear this carefully, because Maya is precise. She uses words the way people use them when they've rehearsed the story so many times they've worn it down to just the true parts. She was watching Daniel in the side mirror, just watching him stand there, phone to his ear, squinting into the distance. And in the mirror, maybe 30 feet behind him, she saw a figure. It was standing in the scrubland just off the shoulder, not on the road, not walking, just standing, in the particular stillness of something that is watching rather than passing through. She said the shape was wrong in a way she couldn't immediately identify. Proportions slightly off, the way a person looks when you see them from very far away, except this wasn't very far away. She looked up from the mirror, looked directly at the spot. Nothing. Scrubland, gravel, the low ridge, the amber sky. No figure. No movement. She looked back at the mirror. It was closer. She hit the horn. Daniel turned around, looked at the car, gave her the universal thumbs up, that means I'm fine, stop worrying. He didn't look at the scrubland. He didn't see what she was seeing in the mirror, because you can only see it in the mirror, and she didn't understand why that was, and she still doesn't. The white sedan passed again. Fourth time. Same speed. Same direction, coming from the north. She watched it pass and watched it disappear and looked back at the mirror, and the scrubland behind Daniel was empty, and she made a decision, very quietly, to never think about what she saw between those two moments. A truck pulled over 20 minutes after that. Local guy, cheerful, knew exactly what the engine problem was, had a fix that held long enough to get them to a garage in Brawley. They drove in the cab, Daniel in the middle, Maya by the window, watching the desert go dark outside the glass. She waited until they'd been driving for a few minutes before she asked about the white car. The one that kept passing. She described it. The dent, the cracked windshield, the tinted windows. The trucker drove for a moment without saying anything. Then he said, "Ma'am, there's no road that loops back out here. No turnaround, no side road, no interchange for 20 miles in either direction." Maya looked at him. "Whoever passed you 4 times, he said, not unkindly, came from the same direction every time." She didn't ask what he meant by that. He didn't explain. They rode the rest of the way to Brawley in silence, and outside the window the desert finished going dark, and somewhere out there beyond the ridge the Salton Sea sat exactly where it had always been, evaporating. She never found out who was in that car. But the next person in tonight's video, they found out exactly who, or what, had been watching them. And it was much, much closer. Take a breath. I know. Me too. Before we move on, I want to read you something. Last week, after I posted the highway case from Route 36, a comment came in from a user called Desert Frequency 87. She wrote, "I broke down near the Salton Sea in 2019. A white car passed me 3 times. I never told anyone because I knew how it sounded. I saw that comment before I had finalized tonight's script. I want you to think about that. Story 2 is the one that got me reported to YouTube. Twice. I'm still not entirely sure why. Nothing in it violates any policy I can identify. but something about it makes people want it gone. We're leaving the desert now. We're going to Los Angeles. A neighborhood you've definitely heard of. A building you could find on Google Maps right now, today, tonight, if you wanted to. I'd think carefully about whether you want to. Her name is Priya. She was 26 years old, freshly promoted, and had just signed the lease on her first solo apartment in Los Feliz, which, if you know Los Angeles, you know is the kind of neighborhood that makes you feel like you've finally arrived somewhere. Tree-lined streets, good coffee within walking distance, the kind of building that has character without being a hazard. She moved in on a Saturday in October. She had a car full of flat-pack furniture, 2 suitcases, a carry-on stuffed with kitchen things, and a tabby cat named Oliver who expressed his feelings about the move by sitting in his carrier and staring at her with what she described as a profound and personal disappointment. She FaceTimed her mother from the empty living room before she'd unpacked a single box. Just stood there in the middle of the bare floor and turned the camera in a slow circle so her mother could see the light coming through the windows, the hardwood floors, the crown molding. Her mother said it was beautiful. Priya said she knew. She was already in love with it. She spent that first weekend building her bed frame wrong and then right, arranging and rearranging her bookshelf 4 times, and ordering Thai food that she ate sitting on the kitchen floor because the table wasn't assembled yet. She found a farmer's market 2 blocks away. She bought a plant she didn't know the name of and put it on the windowsill. She texted her best friend a photo of the view from her living room with the caption, "This is my life now. I am never leaving." Oliver eventually came out of the carrier on Sunday evening, walked the perimeter of the apartment with great seriousness, and settled on the foot of her bed. She took this as approval. Everything was exactly as good as she had imagined it would be. The neighbor introduced himself on her 3rd day. She was wrestling a bookshelf through the hallway, solo, slightly regretting every decision that had led to this moment, when the door to 4B opened and an older man stepped out. Mid-70s, she thought. White hair, neatly combed. A cardigan that had been washed so many times it had gone soft at the elbows. He had the particular quality of someone who had lived in the same place for a very long time and had made a quiet peace with it. "Let me get that end," he said, and before she could decline, he had the other end of the shelf and they were walking it through the door together. "Thank you," she said, once it was inside. "I'm Priya Foray." "I know," he said, pleasantly, the way you'd say it if someone introduced themselves and you'd already been told their name. "Welcome to the building." She told herself the landlord had mentioned her. That was the obvious explanation. She didn't think about it again. His name was Mr. Aldrich. Over the following week, she saw him most mornings. He was always in the hallway at 8:15, which was exactly when she left for work, and he always said good morning and asked how she was settling in. Warm without being intrusive. Neighborly in the old-fashioned sense of the word. Then, on the 9th day, she passed him in the hallway and he asked how Oliver was adjusting. She stopped walking. "Sorry, your cat," he said. "Oliver. Big tabby." I heard him the first few nights. He was a bit unsettled, I think. They take time with new places. But he seems quieter now. "How's he doing?" She smiled and said fine and kept walking and stood inside her apartment with her back against the closed door for a full 30 seconds. Oliver's name was not on anything visible. Not on his carrier. She'd bought a generic one. Not on his food bowls. His veterinary tag was a small metal disc on his collar, engraved on the back, which was never visible unless you were holding him. She had not mentioned him to anyone in the building. She had not mentioned his name to anyone since the move. She told herself Mr. Aldrich had probably heard her say it through the walls, that she must have used his name without realizing, calling him for dinner, talking to him the way you talk to cats when you think no one can hear. That was the obvious explanation.